Okay, so we are going to talk about foundations. So I want you to master our foundations. So I just want to tell you that if you want to go run and grab a catalog, if you have one, that might be helpful just for you to look. If you don't have one, it's completely fine. I will hold things up and talk about them. I'm actually going to spotlight my video. So I'm just going to ask you guys, if you have questions, put them in the chat. For now, I'm going to go through all the info I have, and then I'll take like mass questions at the end. So if you have a question while I'm talking, write it down yourself and or put it in the chat so we can kind of go back and make sure that that's good. Okay, so on page 31 of our current catalog is all of the foundation options. Okay, so first things first, I want to talk formulas. Because, you know, as you're trying to recommend products for people, you want to help women find the perfect formula. So we have CC cream. Most of you are very familiar with CC cream. CC cream is kind of like CC, first off, you're going to get this question a lot, so please write this down. You're going to have customers who say, well, what's a BB cream and a CC cream? What does that mean? Okay, BB stands for beauty balm, and CC stands for complexion corrector. And the difference between the two is this. A BB cream is simply just a tinted moisturizer. Okay, back in my day, we just called it tinted moisturizer, but you know, I think, you know, with the millennial generation, everything had to get rebranded and sound more exciting. So now it's BB cream. CC cream is like tinted moisturizer, except it's kind of like an anti-aging skin tone helping skincare line and tinted moisturizer in one. So this is more than just tinted moisturizer. It's actually skincare too. So it has skin tone evening properties, like not just because it covers, but because there's actual skincare in there. It has antioxidants. It has 8 benefits in one. It is, let's see here. Yep, delivers 8 benefits in one step. Protects, brightens, corrects, minimizes redness, conceals, hydrates, reduces visible signs of aging, and defense. It also has SPF 15. This is a great product. I like this for my lighter days. Okay, so first little thing about this, if you have a customer who says, I like coverage, she's not going to be happy with CC cream. It's not enough, but she might want something for the lighter days that she has. So that's CC cream. I'll come back to these. Okay, I'm just going to go through them. The next one we have is either our Timewise Matte 3D Foundation or Luminous 3D Foundation. The difference between matte and luminous has more moisture and gives you more of that dewy look, and matte is matte, right? So the luminous wear provides 12 hours of moisture. It's humidity and sweat resistant. Both of these include an age minimized 3D complex. So these are anti-aging foundations. Your skin looks brightened and looks fresh all day. It has, okay, the luminous contains light reflecting minerals plus jojoba oil for long lasting comfort, and it won't settle into fine lines. So that's the luminous. The matte wear has a long lasting matte finish. It delivers 12 hours of oil control, humidity and sweat resistant, includes the age minimized 3D complex. Okay, so the difference between these is most people think they want matte. Okay, here's my recommendation. I personally, and Lori Hogg will back me on this, everybody, I don't care how old you are, okay, everybody looks younger when they wear luminous foundation. Because, and here's the thing, you can still have a matte finish, but start with a luminous base. This is just my opinion. When you start with a luminous base, it's hydrate, you get the hydration. Again, it's not going to settle into fine lines in the same way. If you like more of the matte finish, do some of the silky setting powder over top of it to get that finish. Okay, so definitely women with mature skin, like they're over, I don't know, a certain age where things, you know, your skin dries out as you get older. And the matte foundations tend to make them look really dry and sallow and ashy if you have, you know, like bronze ebony skin tone. So luminous becomes even more important at that point in life. So the reason I'm telling you all this is because you can say that to your customers when you're meeting with them. Like, I really would recommend either the CC cream or the luminous wear foundation if you want to look, you know, even younger. You know, just people are looking for that. So those are some of the benefits of these two. I always recommend either of these for brides, okay, because most brides are going to want more coverage than what CC Cream provides. Maybe you could get away with CC Cream, a lot of concealer, and some silky setting powder, but I just think this is a good base for bridal people too. The other one we have is our Endless Performance Cream to Powder Foundation. Okay, so cream to powder comes like this, right? So it's a cream, and you take, we actually sell these are actually really nice square sponges. So like you would wipe a sponge over it, and then you apply it like this. This foundation, the Endless Performance Cream to Powder, appears fresh for 12 hours, keeps that freshly applied look even when it gets hot, heat and humidity resistant, transfer resistant, won't rub off or streak, and it's non-drying, velvety feeling formula. Okay. This is the foundation for people who want like mega coverage, like mega coverage, like mega coverage. Okay. It's also really good if they have really oily skin. I don't think it's as good if they have really dry skin. Personal experience. I have very dry skin. This is not my favorite, but I have oily skin customers that swear by this foundation. The other group of people this is great for, you're going to be at appointments and people are going to ask this, because in my 17 years, I've had this quite a bit. I have a friend, a college friend, well, it's actually Darren's college friend. Oops. And she has a birthmark on her lip. It's actually really dark purple, and it's a scar too. So whenever someone has a scar on their face, scars are skin that do not have pores. So when skin doesn't have pores, it's hard to find anything that sticks to it. And she tried bazillions of things. Our cream to powder was the only foundation she could find that would actually stick to her poreless skin and cover it and stay all day and not just like slide down and look weird. Okay. So if you have people who have certain skin conditions or whatever that they need that, the cream to powder is a really good option. So we'll talk about how to like find a shade in this, because this is the trickiest one, I think, to like figure out shade correctness. Just because I'm the least familiar with this in terms of like our shades. The other ones I can look at someone and I know what they are, but this one I haven't practiced as much. Practice makes permanent, not perfect, permanent. So yeah, so we'll get more into that, but yeah, so those are kind of the main foundation lines. Now we do have a new product, which I'm in love with. I hope you all love it too. If you have not tried the Silky Setting Powder, it's amazing. It has plant emollients, so it's a hydrating powder. You're not going to look cakey. It blurs imperfections. I mean, this is an all-day powder. You just feel good. You look good. It makes you look like a walking Instagram filter. I'm not even kidding you. I thought I liked our mineral powder. I'm like, mineral who? Like, this is so much better. I actually think it's way better. I love this powder. So this powder can go over any of these foundations, including, I actually wear Luminous with this powder or CC Cream with this powder over it, because I just love how it just covers everything. It's awesome. So it's like that second step. It can be worn alone as like a lighter coverage foundation too. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. I do want to speak to this powder though. This is an important thing for you as a consultant to know. I have tried this powder with different brushes. I tried it with the old mineral powder brush we have, and I'm telling you, and I was in a pinch and I had this like really old Mary Kay brush. I don't know. It doesn't go on the same. I even tried a sponge with it because I have this like little compact where I can sprinkle some of this in and use it. It doesn't go on as nice as it does with this brush. Okay, I'm just telling you, this brush is so poofy. And it's kind of, it's hard to see this on Zoom. This one's a little dirty, so you can kind of see it better, but it's tapered too. So like every single one of these little bristles, it's tapered up. And it just grabs just enough. It's not so much. And it just, I mean, you just like close your eyes and you put it all over your face. It's amazing. Okay. So I do recommend, I really try to sell people on this brush when I sell them this powder, because I know that they're not going to be as happy with the powder if they're not using this brush specifically, because they're just, the two are like, they're married they don't want to be apart. Well, that's not a good analogy because sometimes married people need a break, right? But that's the silky setting powder. Okay, so the first thing I'll tell you, yes, Kayla, it is the all over powder brush. It is $16. So it's an affordable brush, and they can get the brush cleaner. It cleans it off really nice. If you're wondering what formula to recommend for people, how do you figure that out, right? Whenever I'm faced with that dilemma, I start asking questions. Well, what are you looking for in a foundation? That might be a great question you're going to ask. Like, what kind of coverage level do you like? Do you like lighter coverage? Now, you have to be careful when you start talking coverage, because women think coverage means cakey or heavy feeling. So you have to tell them, so what coverage level do you like? And I just want to tell you that our full coverage foundations feel like you're wearing nothing, because they do. Like our matte 3D and our cream to powder, they feel like you're wearing nothing. They cover a lot. So do you want it to cover a lot? Do you want it to cover a little bit? Now, there are women, this is good for you to know as a consultant, right? There are women that have very freckly skin, right? You know what I'm talking about. They're super fair. It's like the freckles are who they are. And most women with freckly skin don't want to cover their freckles. They want coverage in the sense they want their skin tone to look even, but it's unnatural for them to completely cover their freckles. So that would be a great option to go, okay, what do we have? So start quizzing yourself. What foundation do we have that would allow freckles to come through but would even her skin tone? The answers might be CC cream, right? It might be silky setting powder. Okay, so I've narrowed it down to these two. So you narrow it down first in your head. You're not doing this like in front of her. So you've narrowed it down to these two. Then you ask her another question, because now you've got to get to the bottom of, is it the liquid one or the powder? You might ask questions like, do you prefer a powder or a liquid product? Do you have dry skin or oily skin? If she has dry skin, I would not give her just powder. She's going to hate it, right? She needs like some cream, right? Is SPF important to you? Okay, so you want to get to the bottom of what you can recommend for her, okay? Same thing with a customer who wants full coverage. I need coverage. I got to cover stuff. I got to cover all things. Great. Okay, so her fuller coverage options are these. And depending on how much coverage, it might be this over these. But you start with this. Okay, so the way you could weed out, do you have oily skin, combination skin, dry skin, or normal skin? She might say, I'm kind of oily. Okay, now you can go ahead and get rid of the luminous wear. Okay, now we're down to these two. Great. How much coverage is important to you? Do you like having a tube product? Do you like having it like a cream to powder? Honestly, I would veer matte wear just because this is a little more tricky. That's just me in my comfort zone talking. So those are the options for that. So start asking questions. You can eliminate some of the things, because here's the reality, you guys. If you want to build a customer base, I know there's some of you on here that do, right? When you find a woman, the perfect skincare line for her and the perfect foundation for her, she will never leave you. So here's something I want to tell you, because I've said this a million times before, but some of you are new. CC cream is a great product. I love CC cream. People look amazing in CC cream, but make sure you're not using CC cream as a comfort zone. And here's what I mean by that. CC cream is so easy. It comes in very light, light to medium, medium to deep, deep, and very deep. So your odds of choosing the wrong color are pretty much zero. Okay, so a lot of people live in the comfort zone of CC cream because they can just look at someone and go, well, even if she's teetering between very light and light to medium, if it's summer's coming, I'll just give her light to medium and she's probably going to love it, right? So that's a good thing. It's a good thing if you're new. But if you're a seasoned consultant and you're still living in that comfort zone, you're losing out on sales. And here's why. I have a theory that women buy products like BB creams and CC creams, not because they actually like how it covers, but because when they go to a store, right, they go into a department store, they go into Target, it doesn't really matter the store, the quality of the store, it doesn't matter. They don't know how to match their own foundation. right? You see ladies like holding up their wrist like this, like this skin even looks like your face. It doesn't, right? They don't know how to match. So instead of getting it wrong or having to talk to a lady behind the counter, which is intimidating for a lot of women, they pick a product that's easy, like just like we do, you know, the CC cream, because it comes in like 5 shades. But secretly they want like the shade for them, like the perfect shade for them. And so if you find her perfect shade in matte wear, she will never leave because she doesn't want to have to go to the store and try to figure out her other shade. She can do that with this. She can figure it out on her own. She can't figure this out on her own. She needs you, right? And I feel good in that because I know how good this product is. Like this is my top selling foundation is the matte wear because it just fits so many people. I've had barely any returns on it because people like it. So if you want to build customers, okay, someone needs to mute. I gotta find you. It's done. Okay. So if you want to find really great customers, figuring out how to match that. Okay. So we're going to talk about matching in a second. Promise we're going to get there. The other thing I want to talk about is applicator options for foundation. I think Kiara had already asked this. So I'm going to pull up a picture here in a second. I forgot to do this ahead of time, of course. So we have 2 brushes, a teardrop sponge, and a flat sponge. Those are kind of like the main options. And so again, as a consultant, so you're doing this for yourself and you're doing it for other people, right? So most people don't use anything to apply their foundation. Most, not saying all, because a lot of you are glamour divas and you use stuff, right? But like a lot of people don't. They just use their fingers. That's an option. But here's how I sell people on not using your fingers. Your fingers soak up product, right? So first of all, you're gonna burn through product faster. But second of all, most foundations are heat activated, meaning when they touch the heat of your skin, they're gonna start working. Like whatever benefits any foundation has, it's gonna start working as soon as it touches your skin. So you're activating it on your fingers instead of on the face. And this is where you wanna activate it, is on your face, right? So using a brush or a sponge or something to apply it is going to help with the benefit. You're going to get more benefit from your foundation. Our foundation brushes move mountains. I'm just going to tell you, they are cheap, cost-wise. Like this one, okay, it's dirty, sorry, but you can actually see it better on Zoom because it's dirty. This one is our medium coverage foundation brush. So depending on coverage level is how you choose a brush. This is a medium coverage brush, and it's super velvety. It's so soft, and you just start in the middle of your face. Now, you can kind of go all over when you're applying foundation, but you kind of want to end, like even if you do circles, you kind of want to end in like a downward. I'm always kind of going up and around and down, 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 because you got little hairs on your face, and unless you like microblade your face, if you start rubbing up like this, first off, it's an awkward way to put foundation on, but you're making those little hairs on your face have party 30 which directions, which you don't want to do, okay? So down, swooping motions like this, and you can do little motions, but just like end with it going down. That's this one. This one is our full coverage blending brush. This thing has over 22,000 hairs in it. So this is great for foundation. It's great for blending contour if you're like really into glamour. You can do a lot with this. You can do like a stippling motion, like this is called stippling. Fancy makeup people call it stippling. So if you want more coverage, you can stipple. You can do the swooping thing like this. You can do whatever with this. Full coverage, medium coverage. Sheer coverage means it's the lightest coverage. You get sheer coverage putting it on with your fingers. You also get super sheer coverage with the Beauty Blender teardrop shaped sponge that we have. Just so you know, if you sell a customer one of these, I'm just going to open it because I actually kind of need one. Hold on, I need scissors. You need to instruct them on how to use these because 98,000% of the population does not use these right. It's very, very incredibly dense. Okay, so if you were to just put foundation on with this, oh, it'd be horrible. You actually need to wet this, like completely run it under the water for 1 to 3 minutes. And as it's running under the water, you're squeezing and squeezing and squeezing and filling it full of water. You turn your sink off, you squeeze all the water out of it. I even used to like roll it on a towel. Then you take your, whatever your foundation is, whether it's this or CC cream, and you apply it now, and it's velvety smooth. The skinny end is for like getting in hard to reach areas. You can use the fat end like this to get coverage. So like I get kind of red in the cheeks, so you can use this to stipple and get coverage in those areas. Here's why I'm not a huge fan of these. I think they're fun. They feel good when you're doing it, but this is why I don't recommend, I would rather recommend a customer this than this, because this is always wet, right? So you have to wet it to use it. Then afterwards you need to clean it. And I would use like our 3-in-1 cleansing bar and like you need to get all the makeup out of it. So now it's wet, sits next to your sink. If they have any sort of acne prone skin, they should not use this, okay? No acne prone, because you need to throw this away every 3 to 4 months. Do you know how many of your customers that buy this from you are going to throw it away every 3 to 4 months? You're going to go back in 10 years and they're going to be using the same sponge. I guarantee it. This is just how people are. The thing with brushes, this is all my opinion, by the way. Okay, you can like fight me on this later. But like the thing with brushes is they're so much easier to clean. They're not wet all the time. And they're easier to sanitize, right? Think of your kitchen sponge. Blah. Misty, I just did a fake bar for you. I hope you liked it. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of those. And then of course we have the flat sponges. These are solely to go with either our pressed powder foundation. We do have a pressed powder foundation. Again, that would be just super oily skin, just needs a little coverage or needs to sop up oil throughout the day. That would be the flat mineral powder foundation, or the cream to powder. See, they're really soft, you guys. These are nice little sponges. So I want to show you a picture, if you haven't been on a virtual session with me, that shows you the difference. This is the same foundation applied 3 ways. It's the exact same color. So you see like the differences in coverage. Now, if you personally are not using a tool, and I just sold you on like, oh my gosh, I need to use a tool, right? And you don't know which one to start with, or you have a customer that wants to start and she's new to this, I always start them on this one. Nobody will be disappointed with this middle. And honestly, I love our blending brush. I really do. But I always come back to this one. I just do. It's softer. It just feels good. I love how I look when I do it. I don't know. That's just me. You can put in the comments if you do something else. But I like the blending brush for certain things. But personally, I always gravitate towards this middle one. So that's the scoop on applicators. Yeah, Leanne likes to contour, so of course she would like the other one. And you can do some of that blending and stuff with this one too. Okay, now I want to teach you how to match foundation. Okay, because people are always like, Emily, how do you just look at people and you know things? First off, I know our line that well. I have put the line on thousands of faces. And when you're putting the product on hundreds of faces all the time, you start to see things, like you start to see color in a different way on people's faces. But let's say you don't have that ability yet. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do the liquid foundation. I'm just going to talk about this one because then there's conversion charts you can go from. So the first step, you've narrowed it down to either matte or luminous just by asking your expert questions, right? So then you have to in your head go through a process. And I want you to start practicing this when you're at Walgreens, when you're at Target, when you're at the grocery store, when you're at the kids' school. You're going to start looking at people's faces. And I want you to, like, in your head, you're not doing this out loud, people, but you're like practicing. So the first question you ask, or in your head, is she ivory, beige, or bronze? Okay, this is the tricky one because everybody thinks that, I tend to find that everybody wants to say everyone's, of like a lighter skin tone is ivory, but most are actually beige. So if you're not sure, go with the darker option, like if she's right on the line. So I'm an ivory. Okay, there's not a whole lot of people that are actually super ivory. Most people are a lighter beige or even a medium beige. Bronze, ebony skin tone. And you guys, what I love about Mary Kay too, we actually won an Oprah Award for how comprehensive our line is. I actually did a party 2 months ago, and there was a beautiful, like, I told her she should be a model, but she's from Ethiopia, very, 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 very dark skin. And she was actually really impressed. Our bronze C180 matched her perfectly. So I have a customer for life because she was like, she's like, I'm gonna get 2 tubes because I'm going back and she needs like a stock up on this stuff. So we have really great shades for every skin tone. Okay, so decide if she's ivory, beige, or bronze. So look at yourself right now and go, am I ivory, beige, or bronze? You're probably beige, okay? Just gonna tell you there aren't that many true ivory people on this call. So ivory, beige, or bronze. And then here's what you're gonna do. The second part is questions you ask them. Okay, and some of you know this. I'm gonna pull these up so you can screenshot this or do whatever. You need to figure out what their undertone is. Oh, I don't want to minimize Zoom. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. Okay, so you're going to ask these 3 questions. Do you burn easily? Like, okay, this is how you ask it. When you go in the sun, Becky, do you burn? Do you burn and then tan, or do you just tan? Now, with bronze ebony skin tone, it's a little different. So like you would ask someone who has bronze skin, do you deepen when you go in the sun, or do you just stay the same? Because there are, bronze ebony skin tone women that don't get darker in the sun. They don't change, right? They actually have a pink undertone, even though they're bronze ebony skin. So do they deepen or do they stay the same? But with ivory and beige, it's do you burn and then tan, or do you just tan? Okay.
If you burn on your nose only,
then you would be a burn and then tan person. I'm talking like you look at the sun and you burn. Yeah.
Okay.
Like okay. So if they say I only burn, I just fry all the time, like my friend Carrie does not get tan. Like it's a joke when she tries to. I'm like, you are just gonna, and she always lobsters. She just lobsters. She is for sure a pink undertone. Most 80% of the population burns and then tans. So if you don't know what to pick, go with yellow. Okay, it's a pretty sure bet. So burn and then tan is that. And then if they just tan, like they are that beautiful, like they've got maybe some Italian or Latina or Mediterranean, Asian skin. If they just tan, then they have an olive undertone. Now, I just want to challenge you on this. It does not mean that their skin is super dark, because there are Asian women specifically who actually have ivory or beige skin that can darken very easily if they allow it, but they don't. So it's not, that's sort of the obvious sign is if they look tan, but like even I'm a warm undertone. I can get really, really, really dark if I allow it. I spent a month in Africa. I got so dark. So dark. It's not good. So I just don't allow it because then I get sun damage, right? So that's step 2. Okay, so let's say this is why you have to practice this, because it's not going to feel natural, because you're going to have to like really think about this for a while. So let's say you've decided someone's a beige and they have a yellow undertone. Okay, so beige with a yellow undertone. If you look at how our foundations are coded, okay, so this is where a catalog is handy, but you can look at this later too. If it has a W in front of it, doesn't matter if it's ivory, beige, or bronze, if it says W, that means warm undertone or olive. So those are the just tan only people. If it has a C in front of it, that means a pink undertone. Okay, so those are the burn people. And then burn and then tan, the N, so there's N, C, and W. W is warm, C is cool, N is neutral. And N means that it could go either warm or cool, which is why I sell more of the neutral foundations than I do anything else. Ivory, N160, beige, N150 is my top selling shade. Beige, N190. There are no neutrals in bronze, because bronze ebony skin tones either deepen or they stay the same, right? So every single bronze is either a W or a C. And typically the C ones are the darker, like my Ethiopian gal, because they're already they have so much pigment in their skin, like they're already so dark, right? They're not gonna deepen more. So okay, so if you look in your catalog, so let's say they're a beige skin tone and they're that yellow, like burn and then tan. Okay, so you would look at that and go, okay, well, she's a beige who burns and then tans, so that would mean neutral. So my options might be beige N150. Like, what are the beiges that have Ns? Okay, so you start there. You go beige N150, beige N190, and beige N200. And so the depth is the number, meaning like how dark of a neutral beige do you need? 150 is the lightest, 190 is next, 200 is next. So here's what you do if you can be in person with them, you do what we call a stripe test. So I'm going to show you this on my face really quick, because I know we're running out of time here. And I'm going to over exaggerate this on Zoom. So here's what you do. You take the darkest depth beige N, which would be, well, for this purpose, we're doing N200. Okay, so I would put a stripe of the 200 like this. Okay, that started a little high. You'd maybe start it here and go down. Okay, so there you go. So you put a stripe there. Then you're going to put a stripe of the beige N190, which is the next depth of beige. You're going to put that one here next to this one. Okay. And then you're going to take the, which I don't have out, of course, because that would have been convenient, the N150, which again, pretty much everybody can fit into this one, who's ivory beige. And I'm going to use my finger because I ran out of real estate there. My gosh. Okay. So then you're going to take this one. Okay, you don't want it to be super thick. I kind of want a little thick with this one. Okay, so you see how I made these 3 stripes? Okay, so we're gonna let the stripes just kind of chill out for a minute. This is not my shade, by the way, so it's not gonna be as accurate as if it was actually my shade, but I'm gonna give you an idea. So you're gonna let this sit for a while, and then what you'll start to see is that one of them is gonna kind of disappear and the other ones aren't. Okay, we can already eliminate this guy here. I mean, can I get a hallelujah? Like, this one is clearly way too dark for me. I would say right now, this middle one, just some of this is based how I put it on, but the N190 is disappearing. Do you see how you can hardly even see it now? So you're gonna look at which one is disappearing the most, and that's her shade. Okay, so is she ivory beige or bronze? What's her undertone? And then look at the different shades in beige that's a cool, and see, okay, what are the different depth numbers within the C? So like for a C, there's beige C110, beige C120, beige C130, beige C140. There's a lot of C's in beige C170. So part of it might be like, okay, you might have to do a subcategory where is she a light beige, a medium beige, or a dark beige to know which depth number to start with. And you might have to do like more than 3 lines. You might do 4 or 5. And what happens is, oh my gosh, I'm going to put the wrong caps on here. Once you start doing this a lot, you just start to see and know which color is going to disappear in someone. But again, if you're like completely confused, start with the ends and work the other directions, because the ends typically always match people because they could go either way on that. So if this is like blowing your mind right now, start with the ends. You're not going to go wrong with the neutrals. You're going to do this same thing with bronze skin. And bronze skin women can have facial masking, meaning like their outer part of their face is darker than some of the inside of their face. So you want to match the inside of their face, right? Because you kind of want to blend the masking part out. You never want to match down on here. Okay, don't match down onto their neck. You need to do it on their cheek, because this section of skin right here is always lighter than this, and it's lighter than this. So Lori Hogg will teach you this, but if you really want to match your foundation, you're more looking like where my bra strap is than right here, because this is shaded from the sun, right? This is always going to be lighter than like even just right here. So it's more looking from down here to down here than it is right here. So yeah, so if you see here, so either the 150 or the 190, and if you're like, oh my gosh, they both are kind of disappearing, look at what time of year it is. We're coming into summer, right? So you ask her, do you get kind of tan over the summer? Yeah, okay, then I would give her the 190 because she's going to need it for the summertime. Okay. Whew, I feel like we're running a marathon here. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute really quick, and I'll take a few questions because it's 9:00 and I don't like to go past time. But what questions do you guys have? Is this helpful? I need to look at you all. Oh, they're all still here. Thank goodness. When I'm on Spotlight, I'm like, are they still there? I have no idea. So who wants to ask a question?
So I have a question.
Yeah, Tamara.
So I went to and we did makeup and all that kind of stuff. Of course, it's been 33 years since then. But we were taught to use our wrist for the fact that you have in your veins and the coverage of how it covers that. That's what we were taught. So I think that's awesome. I learned, yeah. But why would that, why would you not use it? Your wrist?
Great question. I totally understand. Okay, so a couple things to remember. I've had to learn this as I go. I grew up in the 90s and foundation was crap in the 90s. It was cakey, disgusting, and thick. And we did this thing in the 90s where like you had to put powder over your foundation. Like it wasn't like, oh, you can just wear foundation or just powder. You had to powder over it. So like enter me into Mary Kay and I'm like, wait, you mean like I don't have to powder over this? Like I still have to powder over everything because it's like that's the thing I learned. But technology changes, just like your computer. Think of how far computers have come since the 90s. It's the same with foundation. It's also the same with our knowledge. So that whole hand wrist thing, and you can ask Lori Hogg this, but the issue is the way that the sun hits this or even doesn't hit this. This is completely lighter than, look at even here. This is so much lighter than my face because it's always down. This gets a lot more sun than I ever allow my face to get because I'm mowing lawn, I'm driving, I'm riding a bike. Your hands are very much exposed. And so this is not gonna be the same shade as what your face is. So that's why we do it directly on the face now, because you wanna see how it soaks into the skin. I think old foundations didn't do that. They just sort of sat there. So that's what I would say for that. But I would definitely ask Lori Hogg that on Monday, the 28th. Just to kind of get the answer, but I'm pretty sure that's what she'll say. So,
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Misty, you had a question.
Yeah, it's kind of a question and a statement. When you're matching a foundation, you want to match it when they're not wearing anything on their face, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to, so you might have to do the 4-in-1 cleanser and get the goop off their face so that you can do this kind of thing with them, or you could do it right before you do foundation. That's an option too.
I have a question. So I know when we were talking about it, if they tan, if they burn and then tan, then they're a yellow. And W is warm, C is pink, and N is neutral. So I'm sorry, I must have missed it, but which one would be yellow?
More of like, so yellow would be either a neutral, like the N.
Okay.
Sometimes depending on how much they darken, they might be a W, or, sometimes I just look at people too. Like if she's kind of got that, like you look at Tamara right now, she's kind of got that peaches and cream kind of undertone. Like, can't you just see like that she's got that pink undertone just by looking at her face?
I did ask in the chat. I was trying to match her based on what you were saying. And I was like, Ivory C110.
That's a little light depth wise. I would maybe go a little darker for her.
I actually use the light to medium CC.
Yep.
Yeah,
You're
but
probably
I also
a beige C110.
Yeah, just for it's not full coverage, but my face had a lot of like red blemishes to it. But then I also use my powder to cream, or not the powder to cream, but the silky powder. And I also use translucent.
Nice. Cool.
I use translucent. I don't know anything about the silky ones yet. I assume I see the conversion chart in here, so I'll just look.
Yeah, there are conversion charts for that, meaning like if you know her CC cream color, it'll tell you And here's what I want you guys to know too. If you need a color match, don't ever match someone over Zoom because there are filters on Zoom, like the camera filter. I always have them text me a well-lit selfie of them, like not them being kidnapped in grandma's basement, like good lighting, right? And if you can't match over Zoom or you're like, and people do this all the time, they'll send me a picture and I can help you. But if you send me a picture of someone and say, can you help me match her? I want you to start practicing this that I taught you today and say, I'm thinking she might be beige C110. Is that correct? And you're going to get so much confidence because I have a lot of people where I'm like, yeah, that's totally what I would have picked too. And so I'm totally cool with you sending me people's pictures if you need help. Because I'm really good at looking at a picture and just knowing, but like if I want you to try at least with me because I don't care, like I'm not your customer, so it's not a big deal. So they'll get you some practice too. All right, one last question. Yeah, go for it, Kiara.
Okay, so kind of a silly question, but including myself, me and a lot of people I know they want to look like it's more natural than it is coverage, I guess I should say. So what would you recommend then? Because you can get, I feel like you can get a natural look from even the matte. I feel like
right. And that's
the amount of coverage it is.
Yep. So okay, I will say, how I grew up with this thought that I have to wear powder. I think millennials have this thing that coverage equals not natural and cakey looking. And like you said, Kiara, our matte 3D covers a lot, but it feels really light and it still allows you to look natural. So again, technology and foundations has changed. But I would say if they're truly I don't want anything, start them on CC cream.
Okay.
Start them on maybe, if they want a little bit more, they can do the silky setting powder over top. Rachel has a great question too. Does that help, Kiara? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there is this thing on our Mary Kay personal websites. So if you go to marykay.com, so look this up. This is actually kind of ridiculously accurate. Okay, there's this thing called the Foundation Finder tool. I always forget how to get to it. I'm going to look this up here. Okay, I'll share my screen. Tips and trends. Here. So if they just are searching, so if you just search for foundation or if they're under sell or shop and they pick foundation, they can take this shade finder quiz and it's actually super simple, but this actually is not, so for example, they start with okay, what tone might I be? I'm kind of like this. I want luminous and glowing. Oh, and see, look at this, ding, ding, ding. It's asking, do you burn? Sometimes I burn, but my skin tone deepens. I really burn and my skin tone deepens throughout the summer. I'm kind of that middle one. All day wear. Yep. Find my match. Okay, so this is actually pretty accurate. I do switch between Ivory N140 and Ivory W120. So, summer, winter, that whole thing. So this is also a great tool to give you a place to start. You could have her go, oh, Rachel, it picked her perfectly. That's awesome. Yeah, it is actually kind of ridiculously accurate. So that's another layer of option to have them go do, and it's kind of fun and interactive for them too. So they can see how the company came to that conclusion. And then you as the expert can go, I actually think that's spot on, or I would maybe try this if you're going to get darker on vacation. That's where you get to step in and look like the expert. It's kind of awesome. So great. It was so fun hanging with you ladies tonight. I want to take another second of your time. Excited to see so many of you at Career Conference. And I hope this foundation, you're all going to arrive with beautiful foundationed faces. And next week is skincare supplements. So we'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody. Bye, guys.